Hey there retro games fans, this is Andy C from Pieces of 8-Bit. This time I'm going to be talking to you as promised about our road trip up to Edinburgh. We had a fantastic time up there. We actually spent a little bit of time in Scotland. It's good 300 or 400 miles for us to travel, so we were actually up to go and see the Open Golf. Spent a few days up in Scotland camping, but one of the main reasons for going up there was also to go and visit Edinburgh, and as part of that was to go and visit the National Museum of Scotland, where they've got a fantastic event on at the moment called Game On. The Game On event runs till November, and it is definitely worth a visit. There's 100 playable games there, and it is basically a walkthrough of the entire history of gaming, really, from the 1960s, some of the really early prototype video games, if you like, you can kind of call them that, through to the modern day. So, you know, the very latest in games, VR games. Obviously, you've got your Grand Theft Auto there, right back through history, Pong, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, you know, all those kind of things in between. Lots of talk about consoles as well, which I'll cover. You know, some of the greatest consoles, some of the greatest stuff, some of the not so good stuff, as you'll see as well. So join me in this fantastic voyage through gaming history. Definitely get yourself up to Edinburgh to the Game On show if you can. Of course, Scotland itself has an incredible heritage in gaming. Some of you may have heard of a company called DMA Design, later Rockstar North, who are creators of perhaps one of the most well-known games out there, which I've already mentioned, which is Grand Theft Auto. So, well worth a visit for that alone. And Scotland clearly very proud of its heritage. Has Rockstar North offices up there, also Rockstar Dundee as well, up in Scotland. So yes, let's have a bit of a retrospective on our day in Edinburgh. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, good morning. Welcome to rather grey Edinburgh. We're coming here on Pieces of 8-Bit to the Game On exhibition at the National Museum of Scotland. I hear there's like 100 different games to play. It's going to take us about 2 hours to get round, and then we're going to go and explore the rest of the city. So yeah, let's go check it out. So basically, as soon as you get into the museum, you are immediately greeted with all of the old, original things that I'd never really even seen before. So one of the first things we saw was the DEC PDP, which was DEC's first programmable computer, and you know, that went into universities, and ultimately students started building games for it. And one of the first ones, which is on the screen there, is something called Space War, which was quite sort of reminiscent of games like Asteroids. And I suppose in many ways this beautiful looking machine is essentially kind of one of the first, if not the first, arcade machine. Had a game on it, I think it was called Galaxy Wars or Computer Space. That's right, it was called Computer Space. Yeah, it sort of looks a lot like an arcade machine. So that was a really cool thing to see. Never seen one before. So obviously we saw another very early arcade machine in the shape of Pong, which my son had a bit of a go at there. And then this rather amazing looking Space Invaders machine. I'm a big fan of the Space Invaders game, so this was really, really lovely to see. We had to wait a little while to get a go on it. It was preoccupied all day long. It was one of the most popular machines as you walked in. And next to it was this fantastic concept design work, some really lovely detail in there about how the game was going to play out. some of the early graphics, some of the sort of logic flows, and everything else like that, which was really, really fantastic to see. So, and then following that, we obviously then had to wait, and we absolutely had a go at it. You can see my face in the reflection there as I had a go. I did all right. It is a remarkably difficult game for anybody who's played Space Invaders, but it is still so playable. And this was a really, really lovely machine to play on, as I mentioned before. Thank you for the little side scroll to my son, who is the cameraman on this particular day. I'll get him back later. But I had a good old play on this. I don't think I completed the first level, but I did do that. Got the mothership there, which is obviously I would like to say that was a perfect example of amazing skill. But it was probably more luck than judgment. And I did the classic thing there, as you can always see with Space Invaders. I know I'm cringing watching playing it back right now. Actually, that whole letting the bottom ones, you really need to get rid of the bottom ones first, otherwise they get too low, and then you get absolutely stuffed. It's quite a good strategy to hide behind one of the defences and sort of fire through, because you sort of stand a pretty good chance there. But I did none of these things. I just played it. I did better than I normally do, and then I died. Also had a quick go at Galaxian, Galaga, and I actually, this is controversial, but I actually prefer this game. I actually find it good fun. We just see me being game over there. Having another quick go at that. I really like this game. I played the modded version on the iPhone actually, and it is really good fun. So here was a couple of really interesting machines. This was the Puckman and Pac-Man machines. Now, I learned something about this which I didn't know, not actually from this event. Someone told me about this the other day, but Puckman was the original name for the game that was, essentially development started in 1979, so it's as old as that. It comes from the Japanese word pucka pucka, and ultimately they just changed the name to Pac-Man for North America. So that was a really interesting little fact. And so when you see Puckman, that will be the original game essentially that became Pac-Man sometime later. So the next section we came into was the top 10, and this was fantastic. And now initially I thought to myself, well, top 10, that's going to be the top 10 best consoles. But actually what it was essentially a timeline of best consoles through the era. I was a bit confused, I have to say, at the start, because it started with number 10 as the PlayStation 1. I'm like, well, how is that number 10? What the heck are the next lot going to be? So I'm just going to give you a quick run through, because it's sort of, if you do have to go up to this event, obviously you can go and have a look, and you can have a good go and a good play on all of these devices. But the reality of it is it's all kind of a bit chaotic and crazy with lots of people there, so you get a good opportunity to go and play them, but you'll kind of do it in a bit of a disjointed order. So I'm just going to run through the top 10 because I kind of like it and it was kind of fun. So it absolutely isn't a countdown, as I mentioned before. This is the PlayStation 1. We all know this. This is essentially from 1994. And as we all know, an incredibly popular device. What's really interesting about this one is the controller that comes with it. This was a sort of Namco controller where you kind of twisted the controls either side of the device. You could kind of twist them around. It was very strange. I don't think it really caught on. First time I'd ever seen one in flesh, but I had seen one on another YouTube channel somewhere else. So quite an interesting one there. Next up from the late 80s is the Game Boy, being played here on a SNES through a cartridge add-on. The popularity of the Game Boy, obviously everybody is well aware of. This was an absolute behemoth and probably is still the gold standard in handheld gaming even today, but an absolutely classic device. Great to see that was next in the list in our sort of chronological countdown at number 9. Okay, this little unusual device here from 1988, number 8, is the PC Engine. Not something I ever really played on or was very familiar with. This was largely something that was out in Japan. I recognise the game though. This is R-Type. What an absolute grade A classic that game is. I did have a bit of a play on that, and it is absolutely awesome, even in this day and age. Now here at number 7 from 1987 is the Amiga 500, and as many of you know, this is one of my absolute favourites. I love this machine. It is brilliant, and it represents such wonderful memories of gaming for me back in the 90s. And it was a real it was a device that just it was way ahead of its time when it came out in the 80s, and it just stayed awesome for, well, it still is awesome. Let's face it, it's still awesome. Here's some of the games as well, you know, some real classics in there: Alien Breed, Zool, Speedball, some games that all of which are just brilliant, and I absolutely love them, and they were best on the Amiga 500. So we step back another year to 1986, and this is the MSX2. Again, a device I'm not particularly familiar with. This is something that was really popular in Japan. In fact, this was probably one of the most popular devices in Japan at the time. So yeah, nice to see it. Not something I'd ever really, like I said, seen in the flesh before. That's the great thing about this event. They had some devices that I've not seen or thought of before. Clearly very, very popular. So right back to the early 80s now, we're starting to get further and further back in time. This is the Famicom. It needs no introduction to you and I as European viewers. We may recognise this slightly differently. We're used to the sort of big grey and dark grey box that is what we would refer to as the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES. Originally called the Famicom. This is the Japanese version, which came out first. I kind of like it. I love the red and gold controllers, and I love the fact that they actually have a little space on the side. They kind of clip onto the side of the console. It's a little bit smaller than the behemoth that we had over here in Europe. Ours was sort of more designed, I guess, to fit in with our AV equipment under the TV at the time. So yeah, fantastic device. Its popularity needs no overstating. At number 4, this is another device that needs no introduction. This was a fantastic favourite of mine from the 1980s, so from 1983 this is the Commodore 64. An absolutely wonderful machine, another Commodore machine, so I was a big fan of the Amiga, obviously, as I mentioned before. Commodore 64, some fantastic games already reviewed. Impossible Mission on this. I'll maybe do some more later on the Commodore 64 Mini, but this was a hugely influential device. This was the original design. This was the newer design, and that infamous, I say infamous, that's a bit cruel really, that tape deck that came with it that was just so beautifully styled alongside the device. Great machines, huge impact in terms of people having computers in their own homes. Also from 1983, this is the British entry, if you like. This is the ZX Spectrum. Some called it the Spectrum 48. On virtue of the fact that we've got 48k memory. Another favourite of mine. I knew a lot of people that had these. Used to go around their houses and play lots and lots of games on these. Not as powerful as the Commodore 64, but it had a real charm. And that rubber keyboard is something that has probably gone down in history as one of the slightly odder design choices, but it is just part of the I don't know what's the word to look for, just part of the nostalgia of that device. It is just a fabulous little bit of kit, and very affordable, and introduced a lot of people to programming, as did the Commodore 64 back in the day. So here we go, number 2 from the very, very early 80s. This is the Atari 2600, or the VCS as you may well know it as. Well, my direct experience of this is obviously recently. I built a Lego version of this and popped a little emulator in the back. It is a fabulous little bit of kit. My son had a bit of a play on it. We had a bit of a play on it on the Retro Revival event, actually. Played a couple of games on there as well. But yeah, this is kind of one of the consoles people think of as, if you think of the first sort of really commercially successful games consoles, then the Atari 2600 is probably the one that you're going to think about. Yeah, here's my son having a go on combat. He was getting quite frustrated. You can tell from the look at his face, actually. I think the controls were a bit off. So yeah, let's have a look at what was number 1 then. So this was the Magnavox, or more importantly, the Magnavox Odyssey. Funky looking machine. I don't think I'd actually seen one in the flesh before. I didn't actually have a play on this one, which is a bit of a shame. I wish I had now. But this ultimately, if you're looking for the first home console, then this is the big one really. This was the first one, but this wasn't really on my radar. I guess probably I was a bit too young for this. Really, the 2600 was really the first one that I ever saw. But yeah, so there we go. That was the top 10 countdown. There was sort of chronological countdown, if you like. So yeah, after that we kind of headed off and went into sort of the next section, which was really kind of more arcadey. So yeah, this next section was, we kind of come around the corner, we saw all this, it was just like, oh, this is brilliant. There's so many cool games in here to play. They're all switched on, they were all ready, they were all available to play. We didn't need to put any coins in or anything else like that. So you can see here, you got Virtua Fighter in there, another version of Pac-Man. I can't remember what that driving game was down at the end there. It might have been Rage Racer actually. Sam had a bit of a go on the Golden Tee, which is something actually we had at Retroids in Worcester for a while, which he really enjoyed. I for the life of me don't understand why. It was a most unusual kind of golf game really, but yeah. And then obviously, as you might imagine, we had to get stuck in with some fighting, as you do. So yeah, this was a bit of Virtua Fighter. I think this was Virtua Fighter. Yeah, it must be Virtua Fighter. So, oh yeah, there we are, Virtua Fighter. So yeah, great fun playing that. Some fantastic fight games there. There was Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2, obviously. And then we had to have a go on this. We had to have a go on Daytona. We've got Daytona 1 and 2 at Retroids in Worcester, but I love it. It's great fun. And so we had a good old play on that, obviously, because we both had a go. It was kind of difficult to film, but yeah, we had a good old play on that. It was the biggest queue for Daytona out of all of the machines in the whole place, actually. So next up we found this section, which I really loved. This was sort of like the handheld section, if you like. So we just kind of went, there was so many things in there, obviously Game & Watches. I think I had that little Grand Prix game that was sitting in there. Some grandstand games, which we had a bit of a play on. Yeah, my son had a bit of a go on the Coleco there. Which he got very frustrated with. He couldn't quite work out what was going on with that. And then some toys, things that we all really love. Simon Says, Speak and Spell, which I absolutely had a go on. I couldn't understand what it was saying anymore. Maybe I never did. Maybe it was just an 80s thing. So yeah, that was a really enjoyable section. There was just everything in there, from kind of, like I said, Game Boys to GBAs to you know, whatever you want. There's just a bit of the Game & Watch things in there, as I mentioned. So yeah, fantastic. So I think probably the next section really was probably the most important really for this thing here, for this event here. So this was really about Scotland and its contribution to gaming, and you know, obviously, as I've mentioned before, you know, Rockstar, seriously influential. DMA Design started in Edinburgh, became Rockstar North. What you're watching there is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It's the first time I've ever let my son anywhere near Grand Theft Auto, actually. Yeah, so he had a bit of a play on that, and yeah, I mean, obviously at this point, the contribution to gaming, and this in particular, this gaming franchise, they also had Red Dead Redemption there as well, playable, another Rockstar classic. So yeah, Scotland rightfully proud of their place in terms of the gaming heritage. This game in particular, San Andreas, but also all of the Rockstar series, some of my absolute favourite games, and I have sunk many hours into them. They are fantastic, they're hilarious, they're irreverent, and I absolutely love them. So we kind of went from Rockstar to Rock Band. This was all playable. You could kind of go and pretend to be the Beatles for a few moments. And this was a really wonderful thing about this event, actually, was the fact that you got you know, things like this to go and play on. You know, ultimately it's a museum. It's a museum of exhibits about gaming history, which was fantastic and interesting to me. And it was interactive, you know, like any kind of good museum is. You know, you can go and play with all the devices there and kind of really get a feel for some of the history. And you're going right from back in the past right up to the modern day, you know, this VR game that we found. I can't for the life of me remember what it was called. My son had a really good go on it. I think it was on the Oculus. I don't think it's coming out on the VR2, which is a bit of a shame. Sort of like a fitness VR video we had there. So yeah, right from back in the past, right up to the modern day. and all around, you know, we were seeing things like, you know, like this artwork here. You saw the Space Invaders bit at the beginning. This is some of the Sonic stuff. There was some Mario artwork. There was some Pokemon artwork as well, which was just really, really fantastic to see all over the place. You know, some of those sketches. Oh, there we go. Case in point. So. A little bit of Mario on his GameCube there, which is kind of cool. And obviously, you know, we had to have a bit of a go on some of these games. So we had a bit of a go with Sonic. I'm always up for a round of Sonic. Although I think this was Sonic 1. Was this Sonic 1? This might have been Sonic 1, and that was me trying to remember how you do the little spin thing, you know, where you crouch down, which of course you can't do. You can't sort of build up your speed. Actually, is that Sonic 1? I'm hoping someone's going to tell me. I can't tell whether that's 1 or 2. I think it was 1. I really should know better. But yeah, had a bit of a go at that. Had a bit of a go of the Microsoft Flight Sim again. So yeah, 90s and then right back up to the modern day. Another really, really impressive. It's not really a game, is it? I suppose it's a simulator. So we had a go at that, and you've got everything in between. You know, we got Minecraft there. My son had a bit of a go on No Man's Sky. So yeah, it was fantastic. And I'm probably, you know, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to leave it there because in reality, you know, ultimately what I want to say to you is go and check it out. So yeah, if I show you too much more, I'm going to kind of spoil it, and you'll have no reason to go. So let's go, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I thought about the whole event, and yeah, tell you what's coming up next, and that's it. So I'll see you on the other side. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly had a great time up in Edinburgh at the Game On event. I would absolutely recommend it. It's only on until November this year, so 2024. So definitely go and check it out. It's a really, really good event. I mean, I think it cost about £20 in total to go in. And you know, we had a really good look around the National Museum of Scotland as well. It's a lot like, reminded me a lot of the British Museum down in London. Loads of really cool things to see there as well. You know, there's racing cars in there, and there was you know, all the usual things you get in sort of museums like that. You know, lots of animal exhibits of things, you know, artwork, all the usual things. But really, really lovely museum. We had a fantastic time in Edinburgh as well. It's the first time I've really kind of spent any time in Edinburgh. It's an absolutely amazing city. So definitely go and check that out. Spent a bit of time at the castle, that kind of thing. But get yourself to the National Museum of Scotland if you happen to be up in Scotland, or you can make the trip. Go and check it out. Any self-respecting gamer, it doesn't have to be a retro gamer, just someone who's interested in the history of gaming, or just wants to go and have a play and get involved, definitely go up to the National Museum of Scotland. I'm not sure if it's going to tour anywhere else. I think it was originally like the Barbican in London, but I don't know if it's going to go anywhere else after it's finished at Edinburgh in November, so don't miss the opportunity. I did spend a bit of money in the gift shop, as you might imagine, not as much as you might think. I bought a few things I'm going to just show you. So I got myself some obligatory Pac-Man socks and a little Pac-Man keyring, which I've sort of kept on the packaging, because I kind of wanted to show you all before I go and stick it on my keyring. Yeah, got myself a little pin here as well, and then I also got, and this might require some editing while I just go and find it. Bear with me 1 second.
A few moments later.
Was like a seamless edit, like you didn't even notice that I'd gone away and come back. This is the other thing that I bought, and this is my favourite. I'm a big foodie, and this is I saw this and I had to get it. I probably could have bought it off Amazon for cheaper, but I just had to get it there and then. So it's called the Video Game Chef. And basically it's got 76 recipes that are inspired by various games. So I'm just going to open at a random section, and I genuinely am going to open at a random section. Oh, I just missed a good one actually. What was it? Let's see if I can find a really good one to give you an idea. We've got Sinner's Sandwich from Deadly Premonition. Oh, where was it? I just saw a really cool one. Yes, here we go. Suspicious Stew from Minecraft. It wasn't quite so random as I said, but Suspicious Stew. So all of them are inspired. There's recipes from Zelda. There's recipes from, I think you can make the pucks from Pac-Man. Koopasta. Buttercake from Silent Hill. So, a really fantastic and fun book. So I feel like there was a part of me that was thinking at one point, you know, maybe what I'll do is I'll bake from this and then I'll play the game and then I'll show you what I made. And I thought, no, that's just ridiculous. As if I already don't have enough time to do what I need to do to edit these videos as it is, then going to have to cook a dish each time to do it is absolute insanity. So I'm afraid I won't be doing that. But, go check that book out. It's quite fun if you're into your gaming and cooking at the same time. Quite a random selection of things, but yeah, go check it out. So, but most importantly, go to the National Museum of Scotland and check out Game On if you're able to, yeah, go and check out Edinburgh as well. Wonderful place. So that's it for today. That was a bit of an unusual one. I promise that next time I will absolutely be doing the retro Pi setup for Raspberry Pi. I've been promising it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I haven't got around to it yet. So I keep thinking, oh, I'm going to do this game and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do another thing. If I do anything else in between, it won't be a Friday video. It'll have to be a bonus one because I need to also do my Colin McRae rally lap time trial thing for Retro Red Steve. So I need to do that before the middle of August. So I've got to do that video as well. But it will be a bonus one. So I'll stop rambling now. And I will leave it there. Obviously, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please do like and subscribe. Do appreciate it, as I always say. Hopefully that was fun and interesting. And yeah, I guess that's it. So until the next time, take care of yourselves, and I will see you all soon. Bye bye for now.